payment last time. Yeah, but we needed to do it again.
Any other meeting that has that enabled actually asks me explicitly to log in before I am able to join the meeting.
Okay, yeah, we will fix it after this meeting. It seems the last time we did the change, it didn't work.
Okay, I think we can.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, I think we just started the live streaming on YouTube. So I think it's time to kick off this meeting. So back to E, our moderator.
Okay, let me sharing the screen. Okay, so today we have 4 agenda items. The first one, payment will walk through the spec for the feature sign images before pushing them to registries. The second one will be basically information sharing. The third one is about the documentation. I think this was discussed in last meeting. So yeah, let's dig deeper for it to see whether any actions we needed to take. The last work item, we will check the status if we have time in this meeting. Okay, so Payment, would you like to start?
Yeah, I can start to walk through the spec for feature sign images before pushing them to the registry. This is for signing local images that we plan in notation v1.1. So would you mind open that link? I also share this link with Prakash and also tag some Notary project maintainers in the Slack channel. So let me double check if we have new comments since last time.
Do you want me to open these comments?
Yeah, please. I just checked it and no more new comments added since last time. So I think we may, I think I can quickly go through the key takeaways of this proposal and see what should be the ideal solution for this problem that we identified in this stack. So currently, notation users have to push their container images to an OCR registry before signing them. So it is crucial to acknowledge that, OCR registries is not in the trust boundary of notation that we explained in our Notary project trust bound thread model documentation, right? So this may create a potential situation that where bad actors are possible to compromise a container image during the short window between the image pushed to the registry and its subsequent signing process. So I'm thinking we need to think about, we need to rethink the feature that we introduced to notation v1 RC4, signing images from OCR layout. So we introduced a feature that enable users to sign the local images from a local OCR image layout. But after we revisit that feature, we find that that workflow may alleviate these. The workflow may deviate from the typical development workflow by most of the users in building container images. So the specific problem is that to sign a local image, notation requires users to export the images to a tuple from .buildx and manually extract the tuple into an OCI image layout. Then notation will be able to retrieve the digest from the index.json of the OCI image layout. So I think the experience is a little bit complicated for notation users since they have to change their existing image build workflow to adapt this feature, right? So I'm thinking it might be much more convenient and secure if notation can sign the local images directly. I think this document walks through the common scenarios that users want to sign the local images before pushing the registries. I have listed 4 common scenarios that after we communicated with some users and some customers. So here are 4 scenarios that I listed here. The first one is that the customer wants to sign the content images in the image build process before pushing the image to the registry. But the current logic of notation is that we assume the image is already pushed to the registry, then users will be able to sign that. But in the user scenario, users may want to, the signature is produced by themselves in the build process and can be distributed alongside with its container image. This is because in some customer scenarios, their registries are owned by another team in their company. So the registries are not controlled or monitored by their team. So that means the registry is not controllable, it's not trusted enough. So they want to generate the signature in the build process or after the build process immediately. So this is for the first scenario. The second scenario is straightforward, that users may want to push the content images to multiple registries and attach the generated signature to the same image that's stored in multiple registries. So in this scenario, signature portability might be considered in the signing process. The third scenario that we already considered in the existing OCI image layout. So typically for air-gapped environment, there is no registry available for storing and distributing image and its signature. So users may want to sign an image from a tuple directly and generate detached signature in the file system. Then users will be able to distribute the signed tuple along with the detached signature to other places where other medias like email or other traditional transformation tools. So last but not least, I think we should also consider how users can conveniently sign the local images before pushing to the registry in CI/CD pipelines, like GitHub Actions and other CI/CD tools that we may integrate notation into. So we need to consider how can we design this feature to be much more easy to be integrated into those CI/CD platforms. Okay, please scroll down a little bit. So based on the scenarios and the potential problems that currently users meet in their development workflow, and also based on the analysis on existing signing with OCI image layout, the existing feature in notation, there's a need to improve the existing notation local signing experience and make it adapt to customers' existing image build workflow. So this document summarizes 3 proposed solutions to satisfy all the scenarios that we listed above and achieve our goals. The first solution is the is to enable users sign and push their signature to the registry first. So fortunately, we find that the OCI distribution spec v1.1 already have already has this behavior defined in the latest version of their spec. So I added a short version below. Maybe you can read it for a quick understanding about its definition. So in short, the OCI v1.1 compliant registry can accept an otherwise valid manifest with a subject field that is the signature, right? And that does not exist. So that means we can push the signature. We can push the signature to the container registry before the image exists in the container registry. So this is allowed by the OCI distribution spec. And if the container registry is compliant with the OCI distribution spec v1.1, that means we can leverage this feature in notation and push the signature to the registry first. I also listed the desired experience in the code block section. So in the desired user experience, we only need Docker. We assume users are using Docker buildx to create a tuple for after their building process, and only one command is enough for signing the local images and push the signature to the remote container registry. And the second step, sign the local images and push the referred signature to the registry is a flow, is a command that we want to propose for this experience. So we introduced two flags. The first one, we introduced only one flag, push signature, and this is a Boolean flag. We can set it to true or false to control whether users can push the signature to the registry or generate the registry to the local file system. If we enable this flag, set the option to true. So the notation sign will push the signature to the registry first before the container images pushed to the registry. This is expected behavior for this command. And later on, I think.
Sorry. You're specifying the images and OCI layout, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Do we need to have this flag then? Because I'm guessing this would be in the OCI layout, right?
You mean the OCI layout flag, right?
No, I mean, what I'm saying is that you're signing locally. That push signature is to support pushing the signatures. What I'm trying to understand is here we are trying to use Docker push to push the image, followed by pushing the signature. That's what we're doing, right?
Yeah, that are the process that we want to do.
Okay, there's an issue that's being discussed, and this might not work for Docker Hub if they decide to go along this path. So for Docker Hub, would we say that push signature is equal to false? They're also thinking of doing the whole operation by digest and only finally do a tag operation on the image after everything is pushed. So I think we need to think about this sequence of how it will get to the registry. And it unfortunately depends on how the registry is implemented. And in the calls, I think even Michael Brown from AWS was suggesting that they're still thinking about whether push of referrers before the image is going to be supported or not. I think the thing that we want to consider is, can we do everything locally and talk about pushing to the registry as a second step? But for a quick start, this might be okay. But I would kind of like think about, let's sign also locally. And then to push, we can either use auras or we can push redctl or Docker. Yeah, let's go ahead.
Yeah, like even I want to understand, why do we want to push signature first? What's the motivation behind pushing signature first before the image?
So there are workflows that kind of depend on if the image arrives and the first thing they want to do is kick off a scan or a deployment or something. And the problem is if the image arrives first and those workflows get kicked off quickly, the signature still might not be pushed. That was the reasoning. So, but I think the other counter reasoning also exists. Like, well, it really doesn't matter because in the end the signatures will arrive.
Yes, like does work like are we thinking that workflow will depend upon signature verification? What kind of workflows will wait for signature verification?
No, so let's say you want to push an image, and the push of the image triggers a webhook on the registry saying that, okay, deploy this container or patch this container or copy this container or something like that. Then what happens is that those workflows get kicked off, but the signature has not been pushed yet. So it's all about timing at that point, like which is the order you want to kick off those deployments and whatnot.
So like basically we are thinking that like users don't need to change their existing CI/CD tooling. Basically, that's the reason we are thinking about this. Like I'm assuming that the verification will happen after the application has done and everything is done, right? So even if we push signature later, ultimately it gets copied finally. And once you run the container, you need to have a name and signature both.
Yes, so I think that's the challenge here. Like we don't know. I mean, both sides exist. Both sides of the argument exist. Like because you can add a signature later on, and the signatures can get expired, so you could end up with stale signatures. So you need the signature later, even after the image is pushed. But this is also about you don't want to push the image unless the signatures have been pushed. So both scenarios are there. Just for the experience, I'm trying to split this out where.
And so I agree with you. If notation just writes a signature on the disk and then let's give control to the user when they want to push the image and the signature.
Yeah, so that kind of splits up the user experience where, okay, I've signed everything is on disk. I can take it on my USB, or I can take it on or I can push it to the registry, the second step of operations, and you can use different set of tools in each of these workflows. And in the production of the signature, notation is the only one that's involved, and everything else is kind of like hand wavy. That's why I was hoping that we would partition this as producing the signature and then pushing the signature as two separate steps. The push flag is kind of like mimicking what BuildX does, is what I'm thinking, which is BuildX does an enabling to do a dash push, which would push the image also after building the image. So was that the thinking, Feynman, or?
Actually, so I have another alternative solution here for the experience that I listed for the step 2. So this, we assume users want to put the signature to the registry first. But in another case, like Sanjay mentioned, if users want the signing process a purely local process, right? We can still enable users to generate the signature to a signature file, an offline file in the file system. So we just set the push signature to false, and maybe we can use / output flag, or just inherit the experience proposed flag from Pritesh in another spec. It's a signature flag to output the signature into an arbitrary file, into a signature file. This is the second code block that currently walks through the alternative solution. Users will be able to export the detached signature to the local file system, and then it depends on user scenario. If they want to push the signature to the registry, we can propose notation push command to enable users push the signature to the registry.
If we don't specify the output file, can we just push it back into the tar?
I think it may leverage the Aura's capability to attach the signature to the tar pool.
Yeah, right now, the -- push signature is equal to true kind of means you're updating the source or updating the target, right? So today, when you say sign and you pass it a registry, you are pushing it to the registry. Same way, if you say OCR layout and you don't specify an output, then we could just update the tar. But if you specify an output, then yes, it can go to a file and not update the tar. Go ahead, Pradesh.
Yeah, so I'm trying to understand here. So if you push it to tar, when you push the tar to the registry, will it upload signature and image both?
Depends on the tool. So certain clients will push only the specific digest, but I think what I'm trying to get to is maybe Auras can support pushing the image with the referrers in some order.
Okay, so like we will develop a new convention over that. Okay, this is a
Yeah, we can add that so that it doesn't. You can do either. You can just push the image and the signature, or you can push the signature and the image, but all of it we can document, like whatever the customer wants, they can do. Or we can have one helpful command that says push the image plus referrers that would push everything in one shot.
Makes sense. So basically, Auras will unwrap this tar and figure out where is the image, where are the referrals, and push it. Okay.
Yeah, the reason why I was suggesting not to introduce the push signature flag is it's one more extra command just to kind of either update the tar or output a file, and you have an output flag here that is being called out. So maybe we can just use that to indicate that if it's not there, then you update the tar, but if it's there, then just output it to a local file and be done with, don't touch the tar.
Yeah, like I had a similar comment there because I think notation also adds a couple of annotations to the manifest.
To the signature manifest, yeah.
Yes, so I'm not sure how will we do it if in the output.sig file. It has to be a zip or tar again.
Yeah, that would be. So you have a manifest. So we're not generating just a signature blob here, right?
We have a signature blob here, which is following the output flag in the second yes. option.
So I think what Pradesh is saying is that, what about the manifest then? Or can notation generate the manifest from the SIG file? Is that what we're suggesting? Or let me put it this way. I think we had a couple of more questions here. We can't solve it here, but can we just follow up with what's the situation? What's the recommendation if you have a manifest, or can you use the output SIG file to generate the manifest and those kind of questions?
Okay, so Pritesh and Saji, would you mind add your comments and recommendation in the?
Will do.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have one more question. Sorry, a basic question here. How is it different from the existing implementation we have, which is an experimental flag? I think it uses OCI layout, right? It is the same layout. It's just that that implementation pushes the signature using pushes the signature to registry. This one is writing it to disk. That's the only difference.
Yeah, that's kind of So my thinking is that if we get rid of the push signature is equal to true, it'll write it to disk, because you've already specified it's a tar file locally, and then you specify the image in the tar, and then you don't have to worry about the rest of it. The remote push is second step, right? Either way.
Wait, so right now the solution which we have as an experimental is without, like, it implicitly assumes push signature flag, right?
Oh, really?
I'm not sure. Like, I'm asking. Like, sorry, I'm asking. Like, so what's the difference between the current solution which we have on the experimental flag and this one? I think I had that question in the doc also. What's the actual difference?
Yeah. Okay. So Shiva, do you know, or does anybody on the call know, like, what happens with when the OCI layout is?
I can briefly explain the major difference compared with the existing signing with OCR image layout in notation. So I already explained in the next section, benefits and the challenges of solution one.
Yeah,
So maybe you can scroll down a little bit. So comparing with the existing feature in notation, users no longer need to decompress the tabor before signing. This is a major enhancement for this process. And secondly, I think users will not rely on Aura's copy to push the tabor to the container registry. So we have only one. We don't have further dependency tools on this experience. Like we only need notation and the image build tool to complete the local signing process. And, you can also compare it with the existing document. I also added the link we shared in our chat box. So I think two major purposes here. First one is to simplify and remove the redundant steps in the local signing steps. The second purpose is that remove any third-party tools and dependency tools in this flow. So actually, in air-gapped environment, if we introduce one more tool in this signing flow, users need to manually install them. It is not a user-friendly approach for users, especially in the air-gapped environment. Users have to install them, learn them, and use them in the signing workflow. But if we can use only one, use notation only in this scenario, I think it will be super helpful for users considered in the local signing experience. Is that clear?
Yes. I think there is also a line where notation becomes a full registry client, then it'll be really hard. I think we should, maybe the point here is like, how much do you want notation to do registry operations, or if you can delegate it to Auras, then fixing the bugs on Auras is probably going to be less of a barrier rather than fixing the bugs in notation, just from a security standpoint. So I'm of the opinion that if you want to keep notation to generate the signing tool and just push everything using Auras, that might be easier. People might use Crane, people might use RegistryTL. They have an option. And if the registry implements something quirky, then notation wouldn't have an escape path for that, right? So my take is generate the signatures locally. Modifying the tar totally locally is a good enough option, and then either using Auras in the pipeline. I don't have any concerns, but if other folks do, please chime in.
Yeah, as I mentioned, actually we don't want users to rely on any third-party tools to finish the signing process in the file system, in the local environment. So what we want to do is to simplify the process and remove any redundant third-party tools like Auras or Crane or the other container or other OCR artifact tools in this process, making it simple and only notation is enough for this scenario. And I forgot to mention that the desired experience still have some technical limitations. So the first one would be the OCI distribution spec. That spec is still in the RC status. So, and there are not too many container registries implemented the latest spec of or OCI distribution spec. That means this solution may have limited compatibility at this moment. And the second limitation is that, Docker does not support pushing OCI layout, the tuple to the container registry directly, and OCI layout is not fully supported in the Docker engine yet. So that means we still need to leverage another tool like Aura's, Brain, or other OCI artifact distribution tool to push the tuple from the local file system to the registry. So I also list the technically feasible user experience below. So maybe you can help us to scroll down to the technically feasible user experience.
So I have one more question there. Do we know which one is more commonly used, OCI image layout or Docker layout? And what are the toolings around that? Does tooling supports OCI image layout since Docker is also Docker engine doesn't support it? How about the tooling around that?
Docker is the
Okay.
main use case today. Like it's going to take at least a year or two before people move to OCI.
Can we sign Docker layout instead of OCI layout? Is that since I am not I don't know much about registries.
Yeah,
Can we?
I think it can. I mean, Notation can sign a descriptor, so it can sign a Docker manifest without any problem.
So what's the reason we want?
What do you mean by sign Docker manifest? Is that the image manifest stored in the registry or just for the Docker layout format of tuple?
Ah, okay. The image manifest in the registry.
Then that's a problem because the manifest in the registry does not exist in the tuple, and you need to compress and generate the manifest, and then you get the descriptor of the manifest.
Oh,
from
yeah.
tuple.
Oh, okay. So I should be clear. For local signing, you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, local signing, there is a problem, and I think standardizing on OCI manifest makes the most sense. But today, the images that people pull are Docker images, so that's where there is hope that they will move to the OCI layout as default, but it's not happened yet.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the usability of it. If most of the users are using Docker layout, how many would be ready to migrate to use this feature?
So this is the first thing is that they're gonna have to do this at build time, right? So that's the first challenge that we have. Like, how do we change people to start building using BuildX?
And even if they build it, they will have to, let's say if they're using Docker engine to run it, they cannot.
That should be okay. I don't see a problem. Docker can run OCI images. It's just that it doesn't produce OCI images.
Okay. I heard Feynman mentioned that there was some problem with Docker running OCI, no?
Yeah, I don't know that scenario.
Yeah, there's a limitation in the Docker engine that Docker can output the OCI layout. The Docker.x can output the OCI layout, but in the Docker engine, the OCI layout is still in the experimental support status. And if users enable the container D image store in the Docker engine, so the OCI layout will be able to use, and users will be able to push the OCI image layout from the local file system to the registry with Docker only. So this is the sentence that I mentioned in the technically feasible user experience section. Maybe you can scroll up a little bit. Yeah, hang out here. And yeah. So I think what we can do for v1.1 is to simplify the steps and still use the Aura's copy command as the enhanced scenario for enhanced experience for Notation v1.1 release. And after Containerd becomes a stable feature in Docker engine, we can use Docker push to push the OCI layout directly from local file system to the registry. Since Containerd image store already support OCI image layout, and this is still a beta feature in Docker engine. I attached a link in this paragraph, so maybe you can check it out for more context. So the technically feasible experience is listed below. Any comments on this solution? This is due to we have some technical limitations on Docker at this moment.
The only issue which I see is the adoption. I mean, if I even want to use it, there's a lot of changes which I need to make into my complete, starting from build system to the production use case, like production environment.
So Pritesh, your voice sounds a bit low.
Okay. The
The
only concern which I have is like if a user is it with the adoption, if user wants to adopt this, they will have to make the changes in this whole CI/CD pipeline, starting from build system till production execution engines if they're using Docker. I mean, that really limits its usability.
Agreed.
And I think that was the reason we marked this as an experimental feature initially also, right? In 1.0 release, we marked that signing an OCL layout as experimental feature.
Thirty, I think this is an ask for probably reaching out to Docker and seeing if we can improve this experience or not. We try to work around the limitations of what is there with Docker at this point, but it looks kind of tough and ugly.
Yeah, I think the technically feasible experience is still not the ultimate or the expected experience for Go. So that is the second solution, and the third solution goes from E and Pritesh. But that may need further discussion with some communities like Docker and other build tools. The technically feasible experience is the point that we want to simplify the existing local signing experience. That is technically feasible, but in the long term, I think we still need to talk with Docker community and also other build tools to see whether we can integrate notation into the build tools. So it will deliver the native signing experience and convenient experience for users after they finish the build process.
Yeah, I mean, I see that thing makes more sense because rather than investing into more flags and more support of these capabilities, if we can invest efforts into making the signing experience in Docker better, if they're willing to accept it, that might be a better time. I mean, you're going to have to write a bunch of tests and scenarios and maintain the source and all that. So where do we want to spend that effort is the question, I guess.
Yeah, those two solutions, as we explained in the solutions 2 and solution 3, are targeted for the next iteration. Those are still uncertain things since we need discussion and alignment with other communities. And we assume users are using Docker BuildX here, but we know that there are still some other popular image build tools like BuildEdge and another tool I listed below is the Canonical, which is sponsored by Google, and BuildKit. So if we want to integrate notation into the image build tools. There are a lot of works that we need to do and discuss with the upstream communities. And this solution, the solution 3 may also bring us to many maintenance efforts in different upstream projects. And actually, the solution 3 is proposed from Pritesh. I saw the comment from Pritesh, so I added this suggestion to the solution 3. But I think it worth us to thinking about how can we proceed the integration with other image build tools. This is a good proposal, but it requires further discussion and communication with other communities.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. We have 15 minutes left and we have other topics. So can we align what's the next step for this feature? Do we firstly focus on improve the existing OCI layout feature and targeting the optimal experience in the future by, for example, working with Docker community, or there are other alternatives we can think about for this feature? Yeah, I think at this moment, without integrate with other build tools, the best we could have is, as we just discussed, we can sign the OCI layout tableau. The signature could be in the tableau or not. If not, that we can use Aura's copy to attach the signature and also the metadata as well. And also, since currently Docker doesn't support push OCI layout to the registry, we still need Auras to copy the local OCI layout to the registry. So I think this is the best that we have. And as we discussed, that this also requires a big change in the build system. For example, when building the images, right, we needed to change it to build OCI layouts. And when pushing images, we also needed to use the different tools, ask users to use different tools to copy the local image and signature to registry, because Docker push cannot do that.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to understand what's the next step for this. Do we just improve the existing OCI layout feature, or we can we need to reach out to the, for example, Docker community for the optimal experience? Sajid, Pradesh, or Toddy, do you have any thoughts on that? I want to understand the next step for this feature.
Like from where I stand, I see, I mean, this has a limited usability. Probably we should reach out to Docker and community. Also, like, did we look into creating a plugin for Docker? Will that provide a better experience? Like if we create a Docker plugin and run it through notation repo itself, and you just configure that plugin.
I think that is the initial proposal written in this issue, to consider a Docker plugin with this kind of experience. But at that time, we think it will take more time, since we needed to contact the Docker community to achieve that. Toddy, do you have any comments on this?
Not right now.
Okay, I think I would like to give some time to other topics, so we can have further discussion offline. Okay. And with existing, I mean, the feasible solution, Sajay, and we also discussed some improvements. Maybe we can update those parts first. Okay. Then we move on to the other topics. The second is just an information share. Recently, maybe you are aware that Modify community, they have this notation plugin, and they created a PR to update our website document to add notation Modify CSP plugin as a reference for the plugin. And then I go to the Modify community and find that some documents still use Notary vTutor, and some quick start guide didn't use policy import command. They request user to manually copy the files. I don't think that is a better experience. So I started to create some issues and want to contribute to the community to clarify the term and also improve the experience. So this is just for your information, and maybe in the future you notice that some other community integrates notation tooling or Notary project other things. Please, if you see any terminology is not right used, or some experience is not the best experience that's currently Notary project already supported, you can maybe start to contribute. This is also help us to promote our Notary projects. Okay, this is for the second one. The third one I want to discuss, maybe Toddy, to share a bit about this versioning of the documentation, the proposal by Zach.
Yeah, Zach, I think he was supposed to be here in the meeting. I don't know whether he left earlier or not, but we had a discussion with Zach today about the versioning. So it seems that there is actually a very straightforward way to do it. What we will do is actually the versioning of the docs can be separated from versioning of any other part of the website. And the versioning should be done by branching the content. So we need to create a branch for, let's say, 1.0.0, then branch for 1.1.0, and we'll have also the main branch. The main branch will have everything else except the documentation files, and it will be really straightforward how to do it. The challenge will be, of course, if we have any documentation that needs to be ported to the existing branches. Let's say if we release 1.0.0 and then we need to have some update on that documentation, everything that needs to be updated needs to be backported to the branch. We can look at the documentation as going forward only, and that will actually have less challenges, but we need to follow kind of the same approach we follow for code and supporting previous versions also for the documentation. The next steps are that Zach actually needs access to the Netify or whatever the website technology we have. I don't know whether Feynman, any one of you has access to actually provide configuration access for Zach to go and do that configuration. And he can go and actually cut a branch for the 1.0.0 documentation and just snapshot it there and use that one for 1.0.0. When we have 1.1.0, we can create a new branch for that. So we can go and actually set up this and test it without the impact on the main site, as long as he has access to do the configuration in Netify.
So
the
that,
question, Yeah, go ahead. You.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. I mean, so basically, Zach needs some permissions so that he can try out this proposal, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And
Okay.
I do not know who can give him that permissions. The assumption was that one of you two can do that because you were making all these changes on the website.
I think Feynman, you can comment. I think you have the right. I remember you also did some work on the back end of the document, the website.
Yeah, I can do that. And before we implementing the versioning, I think we need to align on the branch or the versioning strategy for upcoming releases. But I think the straightforward thing is that we can cut the branch for the 1.0 release. This is doable. I can help Sam to work on that.
Yeah, I think we can try it to see whether it is what expected.
Yeah, as long as he has access, he can set it up and run it on a test site. That does not impact the live site. But in order to do that, he needs to go and do that configuration first.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I
the
think that will
payment, do
be,
you
yeah.
have, I'm looking kind of for a concrete answer. Does anybody has rights to give Zach access to do that change?
I have the access to do that.
Okay. Can you work with Zach actually to make the changes, set up the test site, and he can send a link where we can test it?
Yeah, I can do that. And,
Okay.
I
Thank you.
remember we have an issue about the version, the documentation version. I will comment on the issue and inform Zach for the next steps. Since there are not another issues that proposed from Zach, which I see from the last meeting notes. So maybe Zach has already did some investigation about the versioning. So I will need to reach out to Zach and see what can be, what are the next steps for the documentation version.
I think I will add a action item in the notes that Feynman, you can grant the necessary permission that Zach required so that he can try out. Then we can review the results. Okay. Anything else, Tode, you want to discuss for this versioning of documentation?
No, that's all.
Okay. So before we jump to the last item, I want to mention that besides the action item I just mentioned, we will have another one for the feature sign images before pushing them to registry. So Feynman, you can first update the existing experience for the ACI layout. Then we also need further discussion to think about whether we should go for the document community for optimal experience. And that part we need to have further discussion. But what we can do for now is to, based on the discussion, to update the proposal, the feasible proposal that's in the document to, for example, remove the signature, push signature flag. Yeah, some discussion around that.
Yeah, I think those three solutions are not conflicted actually. So I think we can first look at the first solution, especially the technically feasible experience that we want to improve in the first iteration. I mean, in the notation v1.1. If we can agree on that experience, I think we can do a minimal viable work in the next release So in the long term, the trade-off is that we can improve that. You can do that in the upstream communities, but we need further discussion in that. If we all agree that those investments and solutions are good options, I think we can continue to raise the proposals in those upstream communities and thinking about how to integrate notation or develop a plugin for notation in those communities. So I would expect Pritesh, Toddy, Sajay, and Shui, all of our notation maintainers to review it again and give some inputs and comments offline.
Yeah, we need a further discussion on this, and we also have Pritesh some comments, good comments in the chat. Let me quickly open our 1.1, the milestone. So this milestone, last time we said that we don't have priorities, and I actually add priorities. I think 1 or 2 weeks ago. And I know currently Pritesh is working on the sign up with data, and Pritesh mentioned he will create PRs this week. And we do have some other P1 items. I think 2 weeks ago, I mentioned that maybe Pritesh, you can take a look whether you still have time to working on those work items. So if not, we can consider moving those items to future block.
Yeah, so how do you want me to do it? Like, do you want me to move it, or I will add a comment on those items and then we can move it?
Yeah, maybe you can add a comment first. Some may be small items, so it's better that you can take a look at the issue.
I will do that.
Okay. Okay, and then we needed to, this week to align the next step for the features that Feynman just presented. We can discuss that offline. And Feynman currently is also working on the plugin installation specification, and hopefully we can review the spec in near future. And that feature is also in the feature list that we aligned for the 1.1. Okay, so Pritesh, please take a look at the issues that's in your name and add the comments, then we can change the milestone accordingly. Okay, thanks. I think that's all for today. Thank you all for participating. Bye.
All right. Thanks, folks.
Thank you. Bye.
Here, folks.
Thank you.